back FPL.
Way!
Way indeed. Hello, listeners. It's Jimmy Ferguson here. Pleasure to be back, and I'm extremely excited for the show today. I'm joined by a star-studded panel from NYC. Ricky Pellegrini. How you doing, mate?
Not too bad. Thanks, Jimmy. Got the just about snuck the victory at the end, and not too bad result on the old Poddy League as well. So
Was that the Hammers game?
Hammers game, just about, mate. I said it would be a bit of a close one. We kind of made hard work of it, but so Hal of the Hammer of all people.
Yeah, he swung that hammer, didn't he? Put a bit of a thunderous strike.
Yeah, he didn't really celebrate. I think he's got a bit of a tiff with Moyes at the moment. He's sort of been challenged by Moyes the last 2 weeks.
Oh, no.
But, making a bit of a statement.
Not been sniffing around his daughter, has he? Like old Wilf. That's always a way.
It does happen.
That's a way to annoy David Moyles, isn't it? Eh? Old Moylesy. Anyhow, moving on. We've also got, he's parked his anchor, Captain Russ.
Hey! How's it going?
It's going well, mate. We're not enjoying looking at you on this Zoom, to be honest, with the bloody table behind as your background with Spurs top, mate. No one wants to see that. Might have to turn you off.
Mate, it could be very short-lived, but I'm going to make the most of it while it's still happening. You know,
I mean, it must be. I wonder when you were last top of the league. I wonder if that
was like something like 2014 or something ridiculous like that. It was a long time ago.
Oh God. Yeah.
So great week. Like for Spurs, great result. Like I didn't do too badly this week either. So
yeah,
I've moved from that bottom shelf. And it's all looking.
You have had a good week, yeah. But anyway, moving on from Spurs because no one wants to talk about them. We've also got Sean, the John McGinn fanboy. How are you, Sean?
I'm still recovering from the celebrations of Scotland qualifying for the Euros.
Get it, mate.
Big stuff that was, mate. What a fantastic penalty
shootout! The cracking performance again, right? He's always there and leading us to the Euros. Pretty happy to face England next year.
It's going to be juicy, mate. I think, it'd be nice to knock you out of that again.
First time since 1998.
No, congratulations. It was a good performance, and you almost threw it away last minute, though.
Yeah, we did our best to throw away as always.
Excellent. You're there. And anyway, guys, I'm honoured to introduce a new Hoddy member. He's having his debut. He is someone that you'll be aware of, listeners. It's our old resident blogger, James Reese's Pieces. Hello, mate.
Hi. How's it going? I'm excited to be on. Moving up in the world.
You certainly are, mate. You've gone from the paper to the voice, but
exactly.
You've got a good voice, mate. Good voice there for radio. So we're looking forward to having you on. That's what they say about me. But listeners, James Reese's Pieces, he is moving on. He's moving up in the world. He's ditched us. He's no longer going to be writing for the blog. He's too good for us, lads, eh? He's higher than us all in the league table.
Onwards and upwards, on to better things.
Yeah, congratulations. We're happy to report, listeners, that James Reese's Pieces, off the back of the Left Back FPL blog, has landed himself a full-time journalist job. So, yeah, look at that, eh?
Superb.
Well done, James.
Thank you.
Good stuff, mate. You're writing for The Sun, is it? Or
no, teletext.
No.
Writing for teletext, no?
Teletext.
Yeah. G-Facts, page 808.
But listeners, what I'd like to say there is, you also could be like James Reese's Pieces because we've now got a vacant position and we are looking for a new resident blogger to write blogs for us, blog posts. If you're interested, drop us a note on Twitter. We pay very generously, the sum of $0 an hour. But, we don't make any money, listeners, but we do help you get your work out there. So, if you saw James Reese's Pieces work, he had some predictions on there for the scores and a little chat about each game. Fantastic job you did there, mate. So, listeners, if anyone's interested, please get in touch. It'd be great to get you on board. All of that said, introductions out of the way, guys. Let's get into the actual agenda for today. So we have a quick look at the Poddy League, see how everyone's performed. We're then going to have the one clop, one flop from Sean the John McGinn fanboy. we've also got a special segment this week where we're going to choose our favourite team name in the Poddy League. Each of our pundits are going to select one team name that's our personal favourite. We'll then put a poll out next week, and you can all vote on that on Twitter, so we can crown our champion for the best team name. And then in the second half, usual format, we'll get the rambling from the dugout. Got a great rambling that's come in. James Reese's Pieces will do the honour and share that question with you guys. And then we'll look at game week 10, look ahead to all of the fixtures, and then we'll round it out with captain contenders. Ah, what a show. I'm out of breath even just saying that. So here we go then with the left-back FPL League. Jumping into it. Sean, John McGinn fanboy, do you want to take us through the top three?
So top of the league this week, we've got My Year. He remains top for the second week in a row, getting 66 points this week. Not bad. He's up there in 605 in total. And then moving up one place behind him is FPL God. He's scoring 68 points. Currently just north of 600 points, and he sits second before Big Al. Big Al had a great week, 81 points. So he's just two behind there. 81 points is a great week, but we actually had two people in the league that scored above that with 83 points. One of which is Peaky Blinders, although he still struggles, lagging on 500 points in total. And then the one another, James Reese's Pieces, 83 points this week, and that was after you're playing the free hit. What was your thoughts there, James?
So really it was because I'd made my transfer already, and then obviously Salah got the virus, so I didn't really know what to do. I didn't fancy taking the -4 because I wanted Salah for the following week. So I thought, do you know what? I'll take a gamble. I'll play the free hit, and it come off perfectly, to be fair.
So what was your thoughts when you were picking your team? Who?
So I wanted Fernandes. I went with Fernandes at captain, 22 points for him, which was really good. I also thought picking Telles was a pretty good option because I normally look at the form of all the players, obviously, but he hasn't been playing lately. So to pick him out was good, and he kept a clean sheet. Chilwell's been on fire of late, and obviously Calvert-Lewin can't stop scoring. So yeah, those were the main players in my team. And then Son, who always likes to do well against Man City.
Yeah, Sonny boy with a nice goal there. But James Reese's Piece, you must have been listening to the poddy last week because you've brought in Ricky's mate there, Sufal, Suchek's brother.
I was calling him out last week. No, it's a good shout. What I guess it's his price bracket, right? He's only 4.5, so he kind of slots in nicely there, doesn't he, James?
Yeah, he's a great shout. I mean, I'll be honest, I wasn't too convinced. I thought away from home they might not keep a clean sheet, but they did in the end. Yeah. So yeah, it paid off. There weren't many good defenders to choose from this week, actually.
I'll be honest, the Telles one was, like you just mentioned in there, that was the one that sort of stuck out to me. I was like, that's a very brave move, because the fact that he hasn't played, right? And was you just thinking because with a couple of injuries, at the back line, you knew he was going to start?
Yeah, exactly. A couple of injuries. I saw he was 100% fit, so I thought he's by far their best left back when all of their left backs are available. So yeah, I thought he was pretty nailed on to start, even though he hadn't played already this season.
I think he's a good shout, mate, because he's gonna get more and more game time as well now. So how much was he? Was he pretty cheap or was he expensive?
5.5.
He's 5.5.
5.5.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, it's quite a lot, really, though, isn't it? But that could be a change for Roman Saiss. I know a lot of people have got a lot of money invested in Saiss, and he's definitely not playing. He's got the COVID as well, isn't he?
Is that why he's out? Because he's COVID. I just thought he was dropped.
He did test positive. It was confirmed this afternoon that he tested positive. So.
But the whole team there, James. I mean, the only one who's really let you down is Grealish, and I think that was a bit of a surprise for everyone. I think he was probably the best player on the pitch in that game, and he was unlucky not to get on the score sheet or get an assist, to be honest.
Yeah, it was disappointing. I've actually transferred in for next week, so because obviously playing the free hit, my team reverts back to usual. So yeah, I have gone with him. I've kept the faith with him, even though he didn't score or assist in that game. I think you're right. He was the best player on the pitch, and he should score a lot of points moving forward.
It's interesting use of the free hit, though. I think that's one of the chips that people find the most difficult to decide when to use it. It's the one that's normally used probably towards the end of the season or a double game week just out there. So, I mean, it's not a bad idea. Instead of taking probably 8-point hit, trying to juggle your team around, getting one of the big players in, why not use it when you're affected by COVID?
It's a good shout. It's a great result as well. 83 points from the free hit. I think, very well done to you, James Reese's Pieces.
Thank you very much.
Pella's interesting point you just mentioned on Grealish there. We had a question come in from Brian Mzobi, our mate from South Africa there on the Twitter. He's basically asking, he wants to get Jota in his team. And he's asking us how he can actually get Jota into his team, because in the middle field, he's got De Bruyne, Sahar, Grealish, Son and Ziyech, which is a tasty midfield. But he wants to get Jota in. Would you think, after Grealish's performance, would you lean towards him getting Grealish out there, or do you think Grealish should still stay? And who would you remove from his team?
Yeah, I would, out of those four, I would say Zaha's the man who's got to come out, right? Because he's got COVID, and he's not going to be any use to anyone while he's on the bench. So, and Crystal Palace as well. So
yeah, he does play for Crystal Palace. Is a good point. The thing is with Crystal Palace, though, they've got some tasty fixtures coming up, haven't they? But like you say, he is on COVID. So, Brian, there you go. Ricky Pellers is suggesting you get rid of Zaha and you get Jota in there. In terms of your question about Dunn, who do you get in for Dunn? I mean, I'd probably look at Kilman at Wolves, to be honest, mate. He's only 4.3 or 4.4. He's a solid defender. He's playing weekly still, and Wolves are looking good. Okay, so with that said, guys, let's put our attention to the bottom of the left-back FPL Poddy League. And Sean, who's bottom?
So first of all, let's see who we should shame for the worst points total this week. We've a shocking 28 points for the week.
Wow.
Not great, is it? The average in the league was 61, so to not even get half of the average is pretty abysmal. 28 points for fucking fuppers there. And if you want to just look at his team, it's probably a lesson in how to catch COVID in the defenders. I think they were all playing with each other. He's got Don, Saiz, Coleman and Jorginho in defence, none of which who played, right? 4 points all around, so great there. And he had a whole 1 point coming off the bench, so not great there. And then he also took Ricky Pellegrini's advice. He was obviously listening and put Grealish as captain, so a whole 2 points there. So if you want to see how to not pick a team, look.
Yeah, I mean,
fucking fuckers. Aaron Lavery. Sorry, mate.
I mean, his team's in a bit of a state, to be honest. 28 points, Aaron. You need to listen to the poddy a bit more, mate. I think you're taking the wrong advice there.
He's already used his wild card as well, so it doesn't look great for him going forward with all those players now.
Well, I mean, he's doing all right, though, isn't he, in the fact that he's sitting in position 45 in the league. He's only five below myself, so I feel a bit ashamed about that.
It's not really anything to achieve.
Certainly not. We move our attention to the bottom of the league then, and Salard Cream, he's still bottom. Davey Hibbert, bottom of the league. He did get 83 points, though, this week, lad, so that's joint highest, is it not, in the league?
Bad return. It is joint highest, exactly.
So congratulations there. He's certainly working his way back up. Bad Decisions United, Chris Haswell, he's in 71st with 55 points. And then Koufre Robert, he's still in the bottom three, still in that relegation scrap. 66 points, not a bad result from Koufre. But yeah, mate, keep listening, and I think you'll find your way up there soon. So there we go. They're the bottom three of the league. Now, lads, that's the league done. Just quickly talk about our team. So James Reese's Pieces, you're sitting 9th in the Poddy League, above all of us. As the intern, we said, you've risen, you've outgrown us, you're too good for us. Below you, the closest to you, is Ricky Pellegrini, top 1,000 in the US a couple of seasons ago, Pellers, and having a nice week this week as well, right? You come in there.
Not too bad. I'm going to start with the negative, if I may. DCL, missing out DCL, mate. I've been ignoring him. I've been a bit stubborn about it. And I think it's time to admit that he is going to look like he's going to get 20 goals a season. I kept saying he's no way going to get 20 goals a season. He's already got 10. He's the top scorer in the league. And I went for Jimenez over him. I just was convinced Jimenez would do it. But Wolves are just...
So what are you thinking?
Don't look the same thing.
What are you thinking there? Are you thinking of getting DCL in now?
I think I have to, mate, because it's even though I had a good week, I'm still massively losing, traction from the top because everyone else has DCL. So I'm losing valuable points there. You got another 13 points to need this week. So
would you take Jimenez out?
No, I've got Jimenez in, but I'm gonna have to take him out.
That's what I mean. Yeah, you're gonna take him out.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to put DCL in, and so that's the negative side. The rest of it was pretty good. I think Robertson, I've got to call him out the most because a lot of people we're getting rid of Liverpool defenders because of the obvious, right? They're just absolute injury nightmare all over the shop. With Henderson being out as well, and the rest of the back line, but they look great.
They really did, mate, and I'm glad NVD's not here to gloat because they were very good, very impressive against
start to
Leicester.
finish. The fact that Leicester, they're at the top there. They've done well this season, and they just made them look like a Sunday League team pretty much. So all credit to Liverpool, and I think Robertson. Just sticking with Robertson, those who did paid off, and obviously Son as well. A lot of people were starting to get rid of Son just because he hadn't scored in a couple of weeks, and he also paid dividends. So I say those two are the shout outs on my team. The rest are pretty much the Wiener was back. But he set up the goal, did everything for the goal, but he was selfless, passed it off to Abraham. Lovely finish from Abraham, but I expect more goals from the Wiener.
He's looking good, the Wiener. He's really turned it around. He's looking very good. I think, on the eye, he's certainly passing the test now. He's getting very good.
Yeah.
Love the Wiener in the eye.
He plays well against the teams who have got a high line, right? The high defence, he's just his pace, and he can run at the defenders. They don't know what to do, even if he can cut inside, go on the outside, and he looks absolutely immense. I mean,
he's a dangerous player for you, mate, because you're the only one that's got him as well in the league. So, I would love to have your team. I'd be in 17th. So that's Pellers. He's up in 17th. Well done to him. Just below you, Pellers. I say just below you. He's about 11 positions below. In 28th, it is Sean, the John McGinn fanboy. You've pulled in 71, Sean. Only 4 behind Pellers. 506 total. What happened?
Not a bad haul. I would take that.
Good, yeah.
You were actually laughing at me on Saturday night, Jimmy. I know.
You were bottom, mate. Yeah, you were bottom.
I was bottom of our league, right? I was there. I was getting a bit worried.
I knew that was going to turn around.
Yeah, obviously a lot of people had players on Saturday, and as I had said last week, I used my wild card to try and differentiate my team and get players, something a bit different from the norm. And as a result, a lot of my players were playing on Sunday, and they kind of came back and did the job for me. Last week, I think as captain, I called out Zaha would have been a good shout. Obviously, it wasn't, so that was a bad call. But thankfully, I didn't listen to my own advice, and I put DCL as captain, so picking up the 26 points there. The man's on fire, right?
He's brilliant, isn't he? Do you know a juicy stat as well is he's had the most shots on target out of any striker in the whole league. 17 shots on target. And Bamford's below him with 16, and then Salah with 15. So, he's definitely, to your point earlier, Pellers, he has to be in people's teams. I'm missing him as well.
Especially with Richarlison coming back. I think he made
it's a good shout. Yeah, 2 assists from him.
He makes a difference to that team.
He does.
He does. You're right, Captain. The other one, Sean, John McGinn fanboy, Mane. So unlucky not to get a big haul with Mane because he was, looking good. A lot of people would have swapped Salah out, right? Straight swap for Mane.
Yeah.
Unlucky. He just got 3 points.
Yeah, I had picked him again. That was my big differential. Thinking stay away from Salah, and disappointing he only got 3. But hey.
And Sean, John McGinn fanboy, I want to ask you a question there about what the conversations led to with Richarlison. Another player for Everton is James Rodriguez, right? And one of our fans on Twitter, CityZen_12, he's asked, or she, wants to sell Rodriguez for Diego Jota. Good or bad idea?
I'd stick with Rodriguez, to be honest. I just think Everton are a more round team. They're going to create more chances, and I wouldn't have more than, say, 2 players from Everton in your team, but I think altogether they look dangerous this year, although they did their best to try and throw it away at the end, or, they went from being 3-1 up and getting that penalty. And I just think they're a solid team, and I think they're going to create opportunities and score a lot of goals. So for me, Rodriguez is the playmaker, and I'd have him in.
You keep him over Jota.
We still don't know if Jota's going to have a first place spot as well, and like Salah was injured obviously, and he played like most of the game this week, but you can't guarantee that he's going to be playing like 90 minutes every week.
Yeah, I have to admit, Captain, I was looking into him because I removed Salah after he got the COVID this week, and I obviously want to get Salah back at some point, but I was wondering if I could perhaps get Jota instead of Salah. So I was looking at Jota, and he has played sort of the last 2 games. He's played 90 and 90. And then the one before that, he was on the subs. He played like 20. So would you say it's still too risky? He's perhaps not a first teamer at the moment, or is he pushing his way in? It looks like
I don't know. It's like with Wolves, he like never play. It was very rare that he would play 90 minutes. I don't know if that was like fitness or what. I have no idea. But you know, he would like regularly get like just over 60 minutes a game.
Yeah, at Wolves.
So I presumed it was something to do with like the fact that he just wasn't fit enough to play for those 90 minutes. Or it could be the fact that you know Liverpool's obviously a better quality team than Wolves, and he's obviously that playing with a decent quality team obviously makes a huge difference to a player like Jota. You know, It's actually kind of rubbing off on him.
And I'll tell you what, James Reese's Pieces, I want to pull you in on this one as well and just get your opinion, a bit of fresh blood. What do you think about Jota over Rodriguez or Jota instead of Salah? Viable option?
See, I like Jota. I think he's a very good player, and he showed that at Wolves, and it was a good signing. But at the minute, he's performing like a world-class player, which I don't think he is. So I can see him tailing off a bit, still being a viable option, and to be honest, if I had to choose between him and Rodriguez, I think I'd choose Jota at the minute. But I think it's close enough to where if I had Rodriguez already, I wouldn't transfer him out for Jota.
Yeah.
In terms of Salah, I don't think Jota's on the same level as Salah, so I'd be keeping Salah. Or if I was to sell Salah, it'd be for another top player, maybe a Son or Fernandes. I wouldn't go down all the way to Jota.
So Jota's certainly not a viable option for Salah, in your opinion. That's the same as most of our Twitter fans. 77% of people have told us don't go Jota over Salah. It's a ludicrous suggestion. I think I was being a bit cheap and trying to save a bit of money, but it's not unlike me. That said, Jota has 4 goals in 7 games. To me, he's the kind of player that can just bang in a hat-trick out of nowhere. But I think, we've done and dusted that. Jota, probably not yet anyway. That said, then back into the league quickly. Just below Sean the John McGinn fanboy, 2 places below. Sean, you're 23rd with 523. On your heels is NVD on the short and curlies, 518 for him all over, 64 for the game week. So it looks like you've actually taken him, Sean. I think you must have been below him before this game week.
I think he was.
You just watch out.
That's why he's obviously not here. Liverpool have won, obviously, so they're probably quite happy. Along with him, Patrick Vieira. He's not made it today either. No surprises there with Vieira. He only turns up when he's winning. He was
on such a good run. He was on form. He had changed his team with the wild card and he was breaking in the points. And then
he got 40 this week though, full of ham or like full of shit.
Got a lot of injuries there. He's got the old Zaha, Wilson, Saiss and Salah. A lot of COVIDness and injuries.
Yeah. Do you think it's a good idea to get players in your team that you know have already had COVID? Thinking that they're not going to get it again, so
it's not bad.
You're crossing out the list now. It's
that's another.
That's a good question, actually.
Column.
Salah will be sorted and Mane. But Patrick Vieira, you're not here. He has sent a message in, lads. Due to the fact my team has performed poorly this game week, I will not be attending the podcast tonight. Take full responsibility as manager and respect the frustration of the fans. Blah-de-blah-de-blah. I think you're getting fired in the morning, Vieira. He does say that he'll reward his players with a packet of Monster Munch if they sort it out. So there we go. Patrick Vieira, you're sitting in 33rd in the league, 506 points. Below you, only 3 points behind now. Captain Russ, what a week for you. Tottenham top of the league. You've come from bottom. You've surpassed me. You've surpassed Sausage Burner. How are you feeling?
Pretty good, cheers. We've 70 odd the week before and 70 odd again. That's 2 pretty good weeks for me. So considering I was rock bottom for quite a while, I'm moving on up. So things are working. I took Salah out, put Fernandes in, captained him as well. So I got my 22 points for that. And Chelsea seem to be a good bet for defence at the moment. So I had a couple of Chelsea players in there. So that earned me 13 points.
Nice double on Chilwell and Zuma, because Zuma also looks dangerous. He almost got his head on the one in the net, and that would have really been nice for you.
Yeah, he's always up there for corners. You know, he's got a bit of a leap on him. So
got a big head, you said.
Big head, yeah. Terrible for fairground rides, but good for being around the box when the ball's being crossed in. But I've stuck with Calvert-Lewin, and he's like, you know, at 13 points there. So all round, you know, apart from Grealish and Vardy, who are in my squad, and bad keeper decision putting Martinez in instead of McCarthy. So I lost out 7 points there. But, you know, looking at the fixtures, like in hindsight, you know, Villa had Brighton. I mean, who would have thought that they would have, like, you know, that was going to be the scoreline. So it was, you know, it's just one of those things. I think other than that, you know, having like still Son in my team, I didn't sell Son. I kept him in my 11, so he got 10. So yeah, all in all, I'm pretty happy with my team so far, and I don't think I'm going to be making any changes yet. You know, I think.
Captain, I wanted to ask you about the Spurs duo, Son and Kane, because there was a lot of talk before this game week, because Spurs have got quite a few difficult fixtures. Obviously, they had Man City, they did well. They've got Chelsea next. The whole double up on Spurs, are you going to stick with a double up with Son and Kane, or are you looking to maybe move one of those two out?
You know, they've done so well this season. Obviously, they had a lot of easier games than they've got coming up. But I think some players and some teams just revel in big games, you know. And I think Kane is certainly one of them. And I think, you know, I kept Son in my squad, and I put him as captain for our poddy team, because I just had a feeling he was going to bang one in. You know, it's just, you know, he had a couple of like shitty weeks, and I just thought, you know, it was his. You know, this week was his time to shine, and he did. He like put a ball in the back of net, and he had a little bit more confidence. So I think I'm going to keep them. Like, I think, you know, like so, you've got a few tough games, but I think if we can get through the next few weeks and get some reasonable results, you know, even if it means a couple of draws, then with my Spurs hat on, I think, you know, we've got a good chance of possibly winning that league. You know.
Well, you're in the title race, mate. You're in the.
You're chatting nonsense. Chatting nonsense. Not a chance, mate. Man United got more chance.
It's you.
Yeah, to be honest, Captain, Harry Kane is funny, right? Because he got our flop of the season last year, didn't he? At the end of season awards, and
he was injured, though, wasn't he? He was injured for a lot of it. So.
Beavis Kane. But Beavis, he just keeps on returning, whether it's an assist or a goal. He does look all right. Captain, you touched on it. You were also the manager of the left-back FPL poddy team this week. Interesting to see that's you're 35th in the league, and that's 36th in the league. So it's 1 point below you. So you did that on purpose, did you? Eh?
No, I think they did pretty well. I think like I should have maybe got rid of Saiss, but you know, and swapped him in for maybe like Chilwell. But you know, how I was saying like at the beginning of the season, it'd be interesting to see if you had a team and you didn't touch it, you just left it there. What didn't make any transfers. What would happen by the end of the season? And I had that kind of in mind as well, so I didn't make any changes at all. And we got, how many? 60 what points?
65, mate.
65 points. So there you go.
Not bad at all. Very well done. Nice stuff there, Captain. And last person to mention is yours truly, myself. I'm below all of you. I'm below the poddy league. It's not good. It's bad, mate. The silver lining, lads, is I am above Sausage Burner. Sausage Burner has flipped bottom of the table in our own.
Just about, mate. Didn't you go bottom at some point this weekend? I'm sure you did.
Luckily, I didn't. No, because Sean did. So it's so tight, the league.
You up, mate.
We're all close. I mean, in all fairness as well, Captain, given the big I am, Billy Big Bollocks over there, I'm only 8 points back, mate. And I did a sneaky one this week. I messaged you to see if you were going to take a -4, and you wouldn't tell me. So I thought he's going to take a -4. So I thought, oh, fine, I'll just take a -4. So I did take a -4. I got a 65 overall, but it rounded down to 61. I had to take the minus really because I didn't want Salah or, like that much money on the, just not playing. And I took him out.
Regret that, Jim? Are you going to regret, Salah comes back against Brighton?
I'm not regretting it at the moment, mate, because I really like Fernandes and I thought he was really good. And I am going to get Salah back in, but I've just got to work out how to do that. Yeah.
Shame he's playing for such a bad team, though, isn't it?
Who's that? Fernandes?
Yeah,
I know.
It was like, I feel sorry for him.
I have to admit, mate, I was looking at this earlier, and if we can win our game in hand, we'll have 16 points. So we'll only be 5 behind the top of the table, which is, doable. And I quite like that Southampton manager. I'd quite like United to sign him and get Ollie out.
You settle down.
That could be nice.
You settle down.
Yeah, I will settle down. Boys, I did bring in Fernandes. Had I not, I would have had a terrible week. Got 22 there, captain Fernandes. Son, obviously. Robertson for me, blinding. Meslier with a 6 points. And I have to admit, James Reese's piece, as you mentioned earlier, that there wasn't many good defenders out there. But this week, actually, there was a lot, really, of cleanies across the board. I feel like clean sheets are coming back, aren't they?
Yeah, it was quite surprising. When I was looking at who to pick in the defence, I felt like there was a lot of teams with away fixtures or tough fixtures. So I didn't really know who to pick. But I think Robertson's the key one, actually.
Yeah.
I had him at the start. I transferred him out. Obviously, Liverpool's defence looked a bit shaky. But I think going forward, I have put him in for next week. I think he's the one to look out for.
There you go, guys. You've got intel there on James Reese's Pieces team.
Just to boast a bit, I actually got out of the back 4, 3 of them had clean sheets and my keeper as well. So cleanies are definitely back. Nice way of picking up points, right?
Do you think that they're back for good, Sean, or you think it was a one-off week?
No, I think things are settling down a bit.
The funny thing is that the stat I read the other day, there's actually, going into this game week, there was just as many clean sheets this time last season as there is this season. So the difference is it's the teams that are getting the clean sheets are not as predictable because everyone's just beating each other, right? So
how many have Liverpool had this season? Barely any, right?
And I'm just going to burst your bubble, Sean, because the fact that you did have Saiss actually in your starting 11, it's only because you had a load of super subs on your bench that you actually got.
That's why I have my bench. That's why I had
Power of the bench, mate. Power of the bench.
Don't think
Benchmaker.
Pellers, that was a blinding stat, by the way, mate. That's why we keep you around. I liked that stat. Very nice, mate.
Otherwise, you'd be fired.
Yeah, you'd be out. You'd be following James Reese's Pieces out the door. Anyhow, well done, Pellers. On that note, we'll leave the left-back FPL league results there. Guys, we have got I promised people on Twitter we would do a new little segment this week where we all select our one favourite team name in the Poddy League.
So, Jimmy, what are we going to do? I'll pick a team each, and
we'll
roll those up and we'll put them on Twitter for a poll, and then we'll announce the winner next week's podcast.
Absolutely, Sean. Yeah. So each of you pundits, if you choose your favourite team, we'll get that poll up. So, Sean, John McGinn fanboy, do you want to start the proceedings and select your favourite team name in the podcast?
A couple that are a pun on players, and one of them that comes up a lot is Mo Salah. But I'm really liking Ankur Srivasta's name, Chicken Tikka Mo Salah.
That's a classic.
I didn't see that.
It's making me hungry for some curry and naan, but he's my pick.
That's very good. Ricky Pellegrini, have you got a favourite?
I've got a favourite. It's a bit biased, but it's just because I'm so curious. It's Woody's Wonders. And I don't know if it's one of my favourite secret, just following the podcast, but I have no idea. If you are out there and you're listening, get in touch because I'd love to know. Might be a long-lost brother or something like that.
So you're going for Woody's Wonders as your favourite, just because you're a Chris Wood lover. Captain Russ, what's yours, mate?
I'm going to go for one of the ladies. I'm going to go for Moose's Looses.
Moose's Looses. Why do you think that's a lady?
Because her name is Sally Steer.
So, okay, it's fair. It's a bit of a giveaway, isn't it? I mean, you can have men called Sally. You never know.
Where you come from, mate?
Okay, finally, James Reese's Pieces. I'll let you choose one as well, mate. Who are you to go with?
So I'm going for another one involving Mo Salah. I've seen Chicken Tikka Mo Salah about quite a lot, but one I've never seen is salad cream. I think that's brilliant. That's my one.
Something being bottom of the league, right?
Salah
Well,
stream is
he's got to win something.
in as well. Okay, I like that. Brilliant. There'll be the 4 then that we'll be putting out on the Twitter poll. Please do get involved. Vote for your favourite. I just do want to call out a few myself. Unfortunately, these are close runners up, but you're not quite going to get into the actual poll. But I liked some of these. I thought Easy Does It. I quite like that one from Martin Leary, the Palace fan. Easy Does It after Eze, who plays there. Lallana's in Pyjamas. Now, that's a classic from Mike Donaldson there. And then Lord of the Ings is a good one as well. That's your name, James Reese's Pieces. Unfortunately, you can't win it because you're on here, but that is a decent one. And then the last 2, I like Deitch Baby.
Yeah, I was just looking at that one.
Deitch Baby. That's a really good one. I really like that one. And then Route Wan Bissaka. I thought that was very good from Miles Willis. So you all got mentions. You all did quite well. Runners up.
And
not
David,
quite.
Just remind the listeners there what the prize is for winning this competition.
The prize is just the ability of just knowing that you've got the best fantasy Premier League name in the podcast league. Like, what more honour do you want, mate? What else would you want? There's no actual prize. Packet of Monster Munch, yeah, it's just fun, really. Also, guys, I've got to mention FPL God. It's not me, but I love that name. Brilliant name.
That joke never gets old, mate.
Never gets old. It was like Pellers' joke earlier. What was it? The dad joke. Sice. What was that one?
He's being too sassy.
Being too sassy. Loved it. Excellent stuff.
Yeah. You had to be there.
We had to be there. All right, guys. Please do look out for the quiz, for the poll. If you're not in our Fantasy Premier League, but you do want to join it, now's the perfect time. You can do that with the code 06S7S8. They're small case S's. So, if you do want to be a part of the action, and you might get a call out as well, maybe next season when we do that fun section again, Sean. And anyhow, last part of the first half, it's 1 Klopp, 1 flop. Over to you, Sean, the John McGinn fanboy. Who's the Klopp and who's the flop of the week?
Starting with the good Klopp of the week, I think a team we've talked about a lot already, and I think a team that dug deep and got a good result that people weren't really expecting or weren't sure of. But Captain Ross is sitting there all proud, talking on top of the table, and I think for them to get a 2-0 win against City and pull it out again, I think there's no other team or no other person that can really be top this week.
Congrats to Spurs. We were just saying that we thought Spurs potentially could win it with Jose sorting the defence out. But James Reese's Pieces and Pellers, you're not convinced Spurs can win the league?
I mean, first, I'll just say...
You're asking a Hammers fan. Hold on. You're asking a Hammers fan.
No.
Of course.
And the Chelsea fan.
You'll be surprised. You'll be surprised. You got it wrong, Jimmy. You got it wrong. I think they can. I just think they've got to keep Kane fit. If they can keep Kane fit, I think they can do it. I don't think he will stay fit, and that's the problem, especially this year, right? But yeah, you can't take it away from. The other one I don't like is Eric Dyer. You got to change Eric Dyer. I'm not convinced he's a good footballer.
Yeah.
He's not, but he had a blinder this weekend, I think.
He did.
One-off.
Yeah, one-off, but...
That is a one-off.
But other than with this weekend, I'm not convinced.
A no from Peller, a no from James Reese's Pieces, and a yes from Captain Russ. That sounds conclusive, right?
It does. But who's our flop for the week, Sean?
Yeah, they do win the Club of the Week, so that's good for them. Good some silverware this season. The flop of the week, though, it was almost Patrick Vieira with his 40 points, but after being on such a good run, I think I'll let him off, even though he's not here.
Yeah.
I think the flop of the week has to be Caballero from Fulham. That penalty.
Oh, yeah. Amazing. Yeah, definitely.
They messed up 2 penalties.
Kicked the back of his shin or something. I don't know. It went flying.
I loved the way he looked at the penalty spot and as if it was the penalty spot's fault for his.
Too much mud.
So that was to get them back in the game. They were 3-1 down against Everton, and obviously they did get a second goal. But that would have been the difference if they converted that. So Caballero, mate.
And Captain, you said he looked at the spot as though it's the spot's fault. What do you do when you miss a penalty, mate? What's your excuse?
I'm never good enough to take the penalties, mate.
I love your honesty, mate. I thought you were going to say...
get to the back of the line.
Yeah. I thought you was going to say I never miss. But honestly, mate, it's left back in the changing room. Okay, boys.
Actually, I'm not left back in defence for nothing,
There we go then. That brings us to half time. Listeners, we will speak to you in the second half.
Way!
Welcome to part 2 of Left Back FPL.
Way!
Way! We are back. Hello, listeners. We're back for part 2, where you're going to have a rambling from the dugout. We're going to have some game week 10 reviews. We look ahead at those games. We'll tell you where the points are. And we've got the captain contenders. James Reese's Pieces, you have got the rambling from the dugout today. Let us know what that question is, sir.
So I've just got off the phone with Chris Haswell, also known as Bad Decisions United, and he doesn't want to make any more bad decisions. He wants to know, what can you do to make your move up your mini league?
Great question.
Very nice question. Yeah, Chris Haswell, he's in the Poddy League. He's down near the bottom. So basically, lads, what can the guy do now, or anyone that is in their mini league and they're finding themselves near the bottom, what can they do to work their way out? Captain Russ, you had a shocking start to the season, scoring 22 points in game week 1, which put you bottom forever. But you've actually clawed that out and you're back up there. So what was your secret sauce? How did you get out of the bottom?
Not to listen to you, mate.
Well, everyone knows that.
Just do the opposite of what you say, and then I'll be all right. And that's why now, you're now near the bottom, and I'm near I've gone kind of surpassed you.
What is it? Kick Jimmy Ferg Day today. I'm taking a pasting, lads. We meant to be pasting James Reese's Pieces. You got the memo wrong.
So basically, apart from not listening to you, Jimmy Fergs, I would say that the fact that Chelsea were actually starting to get some good results and clean sheets, Chilwell and Zuma were made a huge difference. And I think I had Son in one week, and then the following week I got Kane in. So and I think that was when things started changing. I think that they were the basic elements of me moving from the bottom upwards.
So basically, if you're struggling in your mini league, captain's advice is don't listen to me. And as a Spurs fan, buy Spurs players. Interesting, mate. Nice advice. Pellers, anything to add?
I think from my point of view, I was just looking at the form guide, right? So the top players with the form over the last few game weeks. And Fernandez is top. His form is at 10 at the moment. You've got Ziyech, you've got Fabianski, Ward-Prowse, Abraham. So what I'm getting at, I think for those who need to get off the bottom, I think you've just got to take risks, right? You've got to obviously look at the form players like we all do, but also look at the players that are differentials, because they're the only ones who are really going to get you off the bottom of the league. The other thing I would say, taking a leaf out of the book of Matty Lawless, who got himself off the bottom of the table, took a massive gamble with taking points hits as well. I think if you need to, if you're desperate and you really need to make a difference, just take a gamble. I would do minus fours if I needed to, and just go with the form players. Taking those risks that other people in your league are not going to. A lot of people in the rest of the league are just going to play it safe, try and be consistent. So that's what I would do personally. I would just take a gamble. It can't get worse than being bottom, right?
Yeah, and you're taking that gamble on differentials, I presume, that no one else has perhaps got.
Just taking the gambles as in taking the points hits, right? So just don't be afraid, even if you have to do 2 extra transfers in one game week, but to get in big players who are on form.
Excellent stuff. I get what you're saying there. Sean John McGinn fanboy, what do you think? If you are facing the difficulty down the bottom, what would you do?
Well, it's a rare place for me to be, so it's not something that I know a lot of. First of all, I'll start by saying. But I think what's important when you get down the bottom is don't be tempted to be short-sighted, okay? It's very easy to think, shit, I need to pick up some points in the next week or two. But, remember, this literally is a marathon, not a sprint. And you have to keep looking ahead to the next 2-3 game weeks when you build up your team. I think that if you do that, quality will really prevail. You see that, you start to pick up, yes, you might not get 80 points in a week, but if you consistently get 60 and stay away from the 40s, you will start to climb your league. people will have bad weeks, they'll have ups and downs, volatility, and you can be steady and really get up there. So keep your head, keep it cool. Build a solid base for your team. Don't just splash out on 3 or 4 big players and fill the rest with crap. And keep it even and spread your opportunity, and you'll get there.
Superb. So don't stress, don't panic. James Reese's pieces. Anything you've got to add?
Yeah, so my advice is something I have been doing to some success already, and that's loading up on quality midfielders. I'd only go with one premium attacker, whether that's Kane, Werner, Vardy, whoever you want to pick. I think all the value's in midfield.
Well, that's a good tip. I agree with that as well. There's certainly a good number of midfielders out there, and so that's what James Reese's pieces is saying. I think, listeners, if you are finding yourself at the bottom, what you've got to really do is, one place at a time. Look at the person who's just above you. And I would actually look at their team and try and work out, okay, who are the players I have to have that this person's got? So, if you've got the Son, you've got Salah, maybe it's Kane up top. And to James's point, one premium striker. And then start trying to think, right, what can I change here? And it's players for me like Che Adams, right, at Southampton. He's in 4.7% of teams, but he's returned all right. He's 48 points. Werner for me as well. Like he's another one that, all right, fine, 24% of teams. But compared to, somebody like a Bamford, he's in 35% of teams. So if you go for Che Adams over Bamford, you might make some sort of gains there. Another thing I do like is the double defenders at the back. So, if you can find a team that you think is doing well in defence, maybe Wolves, Southampton, even Chelsea at the moment, and Spurs, Liverpool, like double up on them. Because if that person's not doubled up on them, every time you do get a clean sheet for that team, you're really catching them. I mean, it can go against you, but that's why you've got to try and make sure you're picking the top team. And then I think my final one, lads, I was thinking about this earlier, and you tell me if you think this is a good strategy, but I feel like Fulham are the whipping boys this season, either Fulham or West Brom. And my feeling is like, perhaps just always rotate and get like a premium player for whoever Fulham are playing. So this week it's Leicester versus Fulham. So I'd be looking at perhaps Vardy and taking Kane out. Do you think that is actually a smart thing to be doing? Like just always try and get whoever Fulham are playing?
I don't know. It kind of can hit you in the arse as well though, can't it? Like Spurs only beat them 1-0, right? And like, again, someone beat, like, it's just, I don't know, it just swings and roundabouts. I think I can see your point. I can see where you're coming from, but I think you need to look a bit more into the fact that they might be a whipping boy. And I mean, those teams now are be like, right, they're going to be looking at their games closely and thinking, right, we need to get a result. Like, this is their time where they need to like stop, like, moving from where they are right now. And if they don't, they're buggered, right? Yeah. So they're going to be putting like 110% into their games. So that's I
know you've got to kind of play that long game, but I kind of feel like with Leicester, they've got Fulham, then they've got Sheffield United, and then they've got Brighton. So maybe if you can find somebody who's coming up against Fulham and then they've got decent games, or coming up against West Brom and then a few decent games after that, that person could be worth. But I guess you're always going to be changing, aren't you?
Yeah.
Tell us, what were you going to say?
No, I was just going to echo your point there about, the fixture list, right? Because you mentioned Vardy specifically. Obviously, the next 3 games look really tasty. So I would go so far to agree with that. If you're allowed to, bounce between a few players and look at those sort of fixtures, again, kind of going on the point I was making about if you need to take a hit as well to get them into your team, because they are playing for the likes of Fulham or Sheffield United, then I think it could be worth it.
At the same time, though, as well, not necessarily taking a hit, but you could find that you kind of stump yourself in the fact that you can't afford to bring that player back in again because the price changes. So you got to be careful with that as well.
Yeah. Okay. Well, maybe that's not the best strategy, but it's certainly a consideration. But I do think there's some good advice there, people. If you are struggling at the bottom of the league, do not give up. That's the most important thing. Don't give up, because look at Salad Kareem in our league. He only joined after 4 game weeks, so he was already well back. 83 this week. That's substantial.
Yeah, he's almost overtaken you.
This doesn't get old, does it, mate? That's getting edited out. Okay, lads, let's go into game week 10, and we're going to start with the first game of the week, Friday, the 27th of November. It's Crystal Palace versus Newcastle. Pellers, you had a look at this for us. What do you think about this one?
I did indeed, and unfortunately, the two players who are probably the standout options for from each side, Wilson and Zaha, they're both currently injured. For different reasons. Wilson's obviously a muscle injury. He could be back. Because they were tipping him that he could be back this weekend. So I'm expecting and hoping for Newcastle fans that he will be back, because obviously without him, they've kind of lost a little bit of their steam. He is the main player. He's the top scoring player for Newcastle by quite a lot, actually. 55 points he's had this season. The next player in Newcastle is Hendrick, other than their goalkeeper, I should say. Hendrick on 28 points. So there's obviously a lack of firepower. Saint Maximum, he's doing all right. He's trying to carry the team there without Wilson. But yeah, I don't see much happening. I think if Wilson comes back, I think Newcastle are going to edge it this game, even though they are away. With Zaha out, it's the same problem for Crystal Palace. I would say this result, if Wilson's back, I'm going to say 2-0 to Newcastle.
2-0 to Newcastle if Wilson's back. Otherwise, what, 0-0?
Otherwise, I would say 0-0, yeah.
Okay, so Pellers thinks that the value is in Wilson if he's back. One question we did have from Sam_Speak7 on Twitter. He wanted to know about Tyrick Mitchell. He's got him in the subs. Do you think Tyrick Mitchell's out of that team now at Palace? Is he going to play any more games?
Unfortunately, a lot of us do have Mitchell in our side, right? He's owned by 20% of FPL managers. I don't see him getting it back, and unless they get any injuries in that back line. Unfortunately, Mitchell, the young lad, even though he's done well, he's not going to get back in the side right now. So I would be looking elsewhere, But who are you going to get in for 4.1 million? That's the thing. So
yeah, there's not many out there that play, is there? So it's just maybe a bench filler. So I think, Sam, you're probably going to have to sell Lamperty, because that's where your questions come from, because Lamperty got that red card. So you've got Mitchell on the bench. Probably going to have to sell Lamperty if you want to defender, unless you can play the 3-5-2 or the 3-4-3. So there we go then. That is the first game of the week. Going into the second game of the week, where are the points? Where's the value? Brighton versus Liverpool. James Reese's Pieces, you had a look at this.
Yeah, it's an interesting one, this, actually, because Brighton have played well for the most part this season. If you look at their expected goals, they beat their opposition in that department more often than not. But they're coming up against, obviously, a very good Liverpool side. And I think Robertson is the key. I mentioned it earlier. He's the one I'd go for. He's at a high price, but I'd still put him in. Jota, obviously, as well. At that price, he's getting some great returns. But a quick shout out to Danny Welbeck. He signed for Brighton on a free transfer. He scored last weekend, and I just wonder whether that could be a shout going forward.
Is he a viable option over someone like Bamford or Che Adams at the moment? Do you think he's going to keep that up, or is Welbeck just a bit too inconsistent?
Yeah, so personally, I think not. But I think if you're one of those players at the bottom of your mini league, that could be someone that you take a punt on. If you're in a good position at the top of your mini league, I think I'd steer clear of him. Yeah. So yeah, if you're at the bottom, it could be the nail in your coffin, or it could actually get you up there. James, a couple of questions on the Liverpool side. Do you think Salah's going to be back for this game? I would think so. I mean, it's not clear yet, but I would say I do think he's going to be back. Yeah. So we should be thinking of getting Salah back in. I like your call on Robertson. That ball that he put in for Jota's header was such a great cross. He really, really great player. Kicks the ball very well. James, sorry, one thing I meant to ask you there is, what do you think the score's going to be, Brighton-Liverpool? I'd go 2-0 Liverpool, I think. I feel like Brighton will create chances. Could even see them hitting the woodwork, forcing Alisson to make some great saves. But as their season's gone so far, they'll probably fail to score. Okay, so you're seeing a cleanie for Liverpool. The third game of the week is Manchester City versus Burnley. Sean and Jonathan fanboy, you had a look at that one. What are you thinking there, mate?
So Man City are obviously going to be disappointed after the result last weekend, right? That was a game where everyone's doubting them this season, and that's where they really had to turn up and show them that, show everyone that they hadn't lost it and they were capable of something. And they just looked weak. There's no firepower. And from a fantasy point of view, it's very difficult to justify spending money on any of their big players, right? KDB, you'd think would just be completely solid, always there, always opportunity to pick up points for you, and he's just not been doing it, right? 2 points this week, 3 points the week before, followed by 6 and 1. Like, it's for someone that's cost you 11.6 million currently. It's just, I don't see there's much value in getting him in your team. I think it's difficult to justify.
What about with Burnley and Fulham coming up though? The next 2 games, is it?
Exactly. You just took it on my next point, and I said that earlier about looking ahead, and they do start to have the turn of fixtures, right? Burnley, Fulham, and then the easiest one of the lot is Man United coming up there. So. But in all seriousness, you're looking ahead and you think this is where they need to turn their season around. This is where they have to get their ass in gear and put some points. Is it KDB? Does he have the support up front? Is Aguero going to turn it back on? It doesn't really look like it at the moment, and it's difficult to see. But for the sake of the Premiership, I would like to see them do that.
But do you know, in the Man City Spurs game, Man City had 23 shots. Spurs had 4.
That's it, shots. But James, we all know this league isn't won on shots, right?
But I feel like City are going to turn it. I feel it's coming. But what do you think the score will be here, Sean?
It's up there. To be honest, I see them winning. Burnley have been good for a goal of late, but you're talking about City's fixtures being easy. Burnley's at the opposite side. Obviously, they've got City, Everton, Arsenal, Villa, those teams which are all in form, all pretty tight at the back and not letting in a lot. And Chris Wood, yes, he's got a blinder again at the weekend and he's been on fire. But to be honest, I'd stay away from them as well. So I think City will win 2-0. And in terms of a player recommendation, just stay away from Foden because he's in my team and he just keeps sitting on the bench for City. I don't know why he's there.
So Foden will be on the bench probably again. Who's going to score for City? Have you got any advice there?
Mahrez.
Double from Mahrez.
No, not a double. Just one.
Just one from Mahrez and someone else, yeah?
On goal.
Okay, there we go. All right, great. Thanks, Sean. Moving into Everton versus Leeds. El Capitan, you had a look at this for us. Where are the points?
I think it's going to be a foregone conclusion, really. I mean, Everton they won 3-2, right?
Yeah.
They got the 3 points. DCL is like just a goal magnet at the moment. He's like putting them left, right, and centre. He can't be ignored. He didn't have a couple of great weeks until recently because I feel that Richarlison was like the playmaker, the key player that they hadn't had for a while, for a few weeks because he was obviously on suspension. With him back, I think he's going to obviously make a huge difference to the goal tally of DCL as well. And I think we're looking at definitely a win on Everton's end. I mean, Digne, he's also back. He was on suspension. He's been out for a while. He's a great defender, but I don't know.
He had 2 assists on the weekend.
Defense is they let in 2 goals at the weekend.
But he got 2 assists.
He got 2 assists, yeah. So you're hoping more to do with the fact that he's going to be, like the assister rather than the overall result, right?
Yeah.
Leeds, they looked a bit tired, to be honest, against Arsenal. I mean, they played a very bad Arsenal team at the moment. I mean, they're not the greatest, and I mean, obviously from my end, that's good to see. But score-wise, I think 3-1.
3-1 Everton. And the thing with Richarlison, right, he's 7.8. DCL's also 7.8. And they're both forwards. 27 points for Richarlison, 70 for DCL. If you had to choose one of them, who are you going with?
It has to be DCL, right?
Yeah, that's the thing.
What do you lads think about Rodriguez? Because he looks like he's back to full fitness now, and he played really well. I thought against Fulham, he was almost in danger of being the assist of the assist. He was involved in a lot of the build-up play. Would you be chancing getting him in your team at 7.9 million?
I feel like the problem is though, Pellers, there's just so many midfielders that are all around that price.
Yeah,
and they're all pretty decent, and you can't have them all. And it's almost like you lose Rodriguez is that assist of the assist. And would I rather have, say, like Rodriguez in there or Zaha, just for an example?
Or Grealish. Grealish is good, sort of around the same bracket, right?
Yeah, and Ziyech as well. He's 8.1, isn't he? So, I mean, you could have the 4 of them, potentially. You could have Ziyech, Grealish, Rodriguez, but then you got Son as well, right? It's difficult.
Yeah, it's a tricky one. I personally, I've got a feeling he's just going to start banging. He's going to start getting goals, assists again. Personally,
he's not in your team though, is he? But do you think he's a must?
Are you going to get him? You're going to put him in your squad?
I can't get him just because I've got to get DCL in.
There we go.
I can't ignore him anymore. But Rodriguez, I'm worried that he's going to, especially against Leeds and Burnley. I think that's going to be perfect fixtures for him.
So Pellers is either playing blinding mind games there, or he certainly thinks it. I do have to say,
You'll see. I'll show you my team if you want.
No, I have to say, mate, when you say someone's playing well, I do have to, listen to it. You've always called out Grealish, and I think, you're probably right there. Anyway, we move on from Everton Leeds. Spent far too long on a pretty boring game. We'll go into another boring game. We're going to go into West Brom versus Sheffield United. 19th against 20th. Combined, they've scored 10 goals, but they have let in 33 combined. So that's quite an interesting stat. Worst goal difference in the league, -12 and -11. Is there going to be a lot of goals? I think there could be goals, They're both going to need a win. They're both going to go for it. They're going to attack, I would have thought. It's not going to be a boring game, I don't think. It's not really that entertaining, and I wouldn't really go for too many players because you don't want to be stuck with players from these two teams really in the long term. I have got Brewster myself at Sheffield United only because he's 4.5 million. He's been awful. He just has not returned. I need to get him out. But in this game, if he plays, maybe he could score a goal. Don't necessarily see it. I think overall you're looking at, for me, out of these two teams, I reckon West Brom are going to win it. I mean, they're the home team and they've got 3 draws compared to Sheffield United's 1. I'm going to go 2-0 to West Brom. They weren't too bad against Man United. All right, fine. Man United are not playing particularly well. But they hit the bar against United. A good shot there from Callum Robinson. The other one I'd call out is Grant. He always seems to be there in and about and making chances. And then Pereira, anything good that happens, he's generally involved. And then the only final one is Todd Cantwell's brother, Gallagher. Got the Todd Cantwell, got the old hairband in. What a perm, eh? The perm is back. Conor Gallagher with his Pantene Pro V. He looks all right, so he might score as well. So they're the players for West Brom. I wouldn't be going with Sheffield United. I honestly think they're going down, lads. They had a great season last season, but I just don't see it anymore.
They need to play Brewster. They need to start Brewster. Like they played against the Hammers at the weekend, and I had no idea why Brewster is not on the pitch. He's their best goal. He's their best player, really. I know he's a young lad, but.
I mean, the thing is, he picked up a knock, which was, he rested a bit because he didn't think he was at full fitness. But I think the problem with Brewster, he had started the last sort of 3 games and he'd returned 7 points in 5 games. Like, he keeps on just returning the ones because he's starting on the bench, which is why, if you've got him, I feel you've got to get him out of your team. So could potentially do it in this game, but I don't see it. I see West Brom 2-0. That said, I'll move on to the next game. The most exciting game of the week for me is Southampton versus Manchester United. Of course, I've had a look at this. Very tough game, I think, for United. The away team. Southampton, I watched them today against Wolves. They look like a decent team. They look very strong. And it was a great game, that Wolves-Southampton game, because it was 2 teams that have got great managers and actually play good football. I really enjoyed it. And I thought from a Southampton perspective, the players that shone really were the attacking players. Che Adams, obviously with a lovely assist for Theo Walcott, who was just in the right position. With Danny Wings out, I do think Che Adams is a viable solution. He's going to play every game. He's cheap, as I said earlier. 5% of teams have got him. So certainly worth a look there. In terms of the long term for Southampton as well, you've got to think about their upcoming fixtures, and they're quite favourable. After United, they got Brighton, then they got Sheffield United, then Arsenal City, but then Fulham after that. So I think Che Adams could be good. Theo Walcott, he's there in and about the box. He does make chances. He gets on the end of balls. Potentially worth it. I'd go for Adams personally over him though. And then the other one that I really want to call out, and I really like this guy, is Armstrong. Armstrong at Southampton. He's a brilliant player. And if he is not on your radar, he should be. And like what you were saying, Pellers, about Rodriguez looking very good, I thought Armstrong looked very good. He's a cheaper option. He's 5.5. He's more in that Neto sort of bracket. But last few games, 10 points, 5 points, only 2 today, but he seems to be involved. At 5.5 could be good at that price range if you're looking for a cheap midfielder. Going on to United and the result of this game, I actually think it's going to be a United victory. Obviously, I'm a United fan, so I'm not going against my team. I think we're going to do it 2-1. It's not going to be an easy game. Che Adams will get on the score sheet for Southampton. For Manchester United, without doubt, Fernandes is the shining light. He's just brilliant. Did get very lucky, us Fernandes owners, this week when he missed that penalty and he luckily got the retake. Don't really like the way he runs up and hits the penalties. That little stance, it's a little bit lazy. Just run up and smack it, But Fernandes is where the goals will come from.
Has he always done that, Jim? Has he always done that, Bruno?
Do you know what? I feel like he didn't used to do it, and I feel like he's seen Pogba do it.
I remember it. It's like has Rashford been telling him to do it or something? Because Rashford does it, doesn't he? When he
it's like a Man United thing, isn't it? It's like they're just so arrogant, mate. They think they're really good that they can do things like that, and then they just keep. They're sitting like 12th, 13th in the table. It's not good enough. But Fernandes will be the guy. Rashford, he's okay. Like, I can't really, if someone's going to score, it might be him. And Martial. I do want to call him out because people have avoided him, rightly so. He's only got 9 points the whole season. Like, that's horrendous. He hasn't even scored a goal this season. But
he didn't look weekend, did he?
He was getting into positions and he was hitting the shots, and it was only from a fantastic save from the West Brom keeper that kept him off of the score sheet. But I think what I've got to call him out is I feel like he's getting in and around the box and he's getting there and the chances are happening. And I feel like it's only a matter of time before he knocks the ball in the net, and it could be that he turns it around this weekend. But Fernandes, if you're having a United player, it has to be Fernandes. It can't be anyone else.
I'd like to add on to that, Jimmy. I watched the game, and like you can delete this if you want. That's fine. But I watched the game, and I just felt that with like United, there's just such an arrogance in that team. I think you mentioned it earlier, and it's just they just don't seem to care. Like the only person on that pitch on that Saturday that seemed to give a shit was Fernandes. Like, he was all over the place. He was like, he wasn't just a playmaker. He was Man United.
That's the most worrying thing, mate, is that as a fan,
I think it's the management. I really think it's the management, and I think it is time to like make a few changes there. Because whatever goes on in that changing room or like during the week when they're training, it's not working. And you have got quality players there, but they just don't want to seem to perform. There's no passion. There's no passion in that team apart from Fernandes.
There's some that need to leave. There's some that still need to leave. And, the ones that are bringing the bad atmosphere, they've got to go. They just need to sort it out. Anyhow, that could be a whole nother podcast. I do agree with you. Let's move on to the next game. It's game 7 of the game week. It's Chelsea versus Spurs. James Reese's Pieces, your boys up against Captain Russ's. Who's going to win?
Chelsea for me. This is definitely the highest quality game of the weekend by a long way. The two highest scoring teams and the two teams that have conceded the least as well. I mean, this could be a title decider already as long as Liverpool fall off with their injuries, which they don't look like doing at the minute, but hopefully they will. 3-1, I think. There's no doubt that Mourinho will come and sit back. They'll look to counter, but I worry for them that if Chelsea get the first goal, which I think they will, then Tottenham will be forced to open up a bit, and that tactic of sitting behind and looking to counter won't work anymore. And I think Chelsea from there will kick on, and I do give Tottenham a goal, but 3-1 Chelsea for me with Abraham to score. Great pick for fantasy football. He's leading the charts in terms of form for all the forwards in the league at the minute, rather surprisingly. So, yeah.
And he's only, 7.2 million, and he's only in 2.5% of teams. Definitely worth a punt, yeah. I think, James, you make a good point there. I do feel like Jose will come and sit back. He won't want to lose against Chelsea. But I feel like Chelsea are attacking very well at the moment. Like, you've got Mount, you've got Werner. To your point, Abraham's playing really well. Ziyech looks brilliant. I talk about Robertson's balls. Like, Ziyech is a really great player. So you're seeing 3-1. Captain, you're on the other side of things. You're Spurs. What are you thinking, mate?
We will see.
Insightful as ever.
I'm quietly confident. It's going to be a great game. Saying that, it might not be. It might be a bloody awful game. But at the same time, I think like Mourinho and Lampard, they've obviously got a history together. So I think they'll all be wanting to nick those 3 points, no matter how they get those 3 points, and it'd be a good game to watch.
I've got to say one thing, lads, if you don't mind. Mendy, the Chelsea keeper, he's playing like a sweeper at the moment. He comes out and passes along, and he sort of gets involved with the play. You know, he's playing that perfectly, and he's what a great keeper as well. So I think it could be, you know, there's going to be a few key moments in this game, right? If it is a tight affair, they're both not conceding too many goals. I think it could be a battle of the keepers almost in this game.
That's an excellent point, mate, because it really shows you the power of having a good keeper behind you. I can't believe how quickly he's managed to turn it around. He's just come in, and all of a sudden a defence that looked shaky is keeping clean sheets. But you have to admit, Kepa was at fault for so many goals. I mean, bad keeper. Excellent stuff. Thank you, lads. Arsenal versus Wolves is the next game of the week. Where are the points coming from, Sean? You had a look at this, didn't you?
So looking at Arsenal, I think this week they obviously did well to get 0-0 going down to 10 men. I don't know if anyone was watching the game, but Pepe, I mean, what an idiot. Why is he headbutting in the middle of the pitch there? There was absolutely no need and put them in like, jeopardy. And that, I guess that's why he's only in 1% of teams out there, right?
He can't shoot, can he, fellas?
He can't shoot. I said it years ago when he first signed. He can't shoot to save his life.
Yeah. So, but to be honest, you know, this weekend I thought Bellerin, I'd put him in the team, and I think he's the only one worth in the Arsenal team at the moment. I mean, he is only 5.1 million, and they have had a few cleans out there, and he does get forward. He was lucky this week though, just to say, to pick up the 3 bonus points. That was a sort of last minute. He made a tackle, and that just put him into. I mean, there was 3 players that all got 3 bonus points in that game, if I'm not mistaken. Him and Leno in goals as well. So really though, it's just difficult to find any Arsenal value with Aubameyang just not firing this year. Compare him now to the end of last year, it's just night and day, right? And I don't see him in any team across the board immediately. And I mean, he is in 12.3% of total, but he never even comes up, never even mentioned on this show, right? Or on Twitter, you never see it. It's quite frankly a waste of 11.5 million.
Yeah, definitely.
Can you believe that Harry Maguire has apparently had more shots on target than Aubameyang has this season?
I couldn't believe that. Yeah, I mean, he's out there he did play up front in the last game, but on the left he's just wasted. That is a ridiculous stat, though. How many shots is that, incidentally, for Maguire and Aubameyang?
I don't know the number of shots.
It's 2 for Maguire and 1 for Aubameyang.
Yeah, exactly. That's about right.
That's about it this season, right?
I don't know the exact numbers, but I just saw that stat, and that I was like, that was pretty.
Go to the stats today.
He is. It's like a Google, isn't he?
Yeah. On the other hand, though, Wolves. I think, you know, a lot of people have found a lot of value in Wolves this season, and there's a variety of options you go there. You've got Patricio in goals, Jimenez, Saiz obviously out with COVID, so stay away from him. But him, Nato, Kilman, basically the whole defenders have been pretty solid for their price point, picking up points, even down to Cody, etc. But you know, the challenge with Wolves, and where you have to be careful not to get stung coming up, is, you know, they're reaching this turning point where their games are getting pretty difficult. Arsenal, Liverpool, Villa, Chelsea, Burnley, Tottenham, Man United, right? That running there it is difficult. It's not kind to them. And this is where I'd be very cautious at this point in trying to load up on Wolves players. Not loading up, but, you know, if you've got 2 Wolves players in your team, I'd be a bit cautious. Jimenez, is he going to produce the goods against these teams? Is that expensive for 8.4 million, considering those are coming up? It may possibly just be the time to get them out.
And who wins this game, though, Sean?
I think it's going to be 1 each. And big Jimmy Ness will get a point, get a goal, and Bellerin will get forward. Assist from Tierney.
Okay, guys, moving into the penultimate game of the weekend. It's Leicester versus Fulham. Captain Russ, you had a look at this for us. What's the score in this one? See a lot of Vardy captains coming.
I think because basically I think all of us would agree that Leicester were definitely outclassed by Liverpool without doubt.
Yeah, massively.
So Leicester will be on a they will go. I think they will go out all guns a-blazing. They're going to look for a spanking, right? They'll be looking for
spanking. Captain Ross.
They're going to be looking for when they destroyed Leeds 4-1. I think they're going to be looking one of those results. I think if you've got Vardy in your team, it could be definitely worth considering captaining him for this game. I think Maddison will be on form. And Fulham, I mean, they just better hope they don't get a penalty, really. It's just... Because, once that happens, their confidence will go down and they just end up getting destroyed. I think Fulham just need to be avoided at the moment.
I mean, the concerning thing for them, and this is, Patrick Vieira won't like to look at this, their next 3 games, Leicester, Manchester City, Liverpool.
Yeah, and you've got Leicester with Fulham, Sheffield United and Brighton. So if you haven't got any Leicester, if you've not got any Leicester in your 11, it might be worth considering sticking them in.
Are you seeing a bit of a cricket score here as well?
I think it's going to be 3-0.
3-0.
3-0 to Leicester.
Excellent stuff. Thank you, Captain. I think Jamie Vardy is looking very tasty for this one. And then the final game of the week. No one will watch this. It's a bit of a boring one. Pellas, you might watch it. It's West Ham versus Villa.
Where's the so I hope they get their sorted out. It's going to be a home. Not that matters anymore, being at home, especially at the London Stadium. But I think it'll be quite a crunch game because there's only like a point between us, pretty much. And I think there's something to prove for both teams. Both have done better than expected this season. The key players to look out for, obviously Grealish, we all know he's looking absolutely on fire. Even though he only got the 1 point, I think it's safe to say he was unlucky. I think he's going to be heavily involved. I think without Barkley, we'll play into Hammer's advantage there. I would say for the West Ham faithful, looking at the players like Cresswell at the back, he's again just looked like he was really dangerous.
Yeah,
a bit like our version of Robertson. I can't compare him to Andrew Robertson, of course, but just the amount of crosses he gets into the box, right? He's going to create chances. So I think at 5.1 million is good value for money.
Pellas, I was going to say there, with Aaron Cresswell, most accurate crosses in the Premier League, 22. He's put more crosses in the likes of Fernandes, Digne, Trent, Robbo. Yeah, he's put the most accurate crosses in, 22.
Yeah, he's actually playing as a centre back. He's in the back three. He's in the left side of that back three. And then you've got wing-backs of Masuaku and got Soufal as well, right? But he's sort of taking the pressure off him and he gets up and Masuaku is kind of getting the ball up the field and then just knocking it back to him and he's just whipping it in. So he's really benefiting from that position right now. He's only owned by 9.4% of managers. So, yeah, he would be my shout. I don't see this being a clean sheet for West Ham. I think we're going to concede. I think Villa have got too much firepower. I think Ollie Watkins will get on the score sheet. But this game, I think 2-1 West Ham. I think we've got to win this game. It's at home just to keep that momentum up. I think Haller the Hammer will get on the score sheet again. I'm going to go for Souček. My beloved Souček. I think he hit the bar again. Did he hit the bar again? Yeah.
He also missed a side footer as well. He had a side footer one-on-one and he
had a 1-1.
Yeah, but he didn't even connect with the ball. It sort of went over the top of his foot.
Yeah.
I ain't convinced on Souček, mate. I'm not convinced. But
I'm going to keep singing his praises until he scores a hat-trick.
You'll be singing for a long time. So West Ham then are going to win. Pellas is going for 2-1. I do agree that Villa will score because you guys have had 2 clean sheets in 2 and that sounds a little bit unlike West Ham. So it's about time you let one in. With all of that said then, listeners, that is game week 10. That's where the value is. They're the players that we're thinking about. And with that said, there's only one thing left to do. It is, of course, Captain Contender. Captain Contender. This is it. This is where you take your week to the next level. It's the most important decision. Get this right and you get a nice amount of points. So, captains, lads, where are you guys looking? James Reese's Pieces, you're the new lad. Where are you going for your captain?
I thought you were asleep, James, mate.
No. So I'm going for Dominic Calvert-Lewin. I think he's on fire. I think James Rodriguez coming back as well as Richarlison. They feed him in that team, and he's the main target man. There's not many other players in that team that score goals. They rely on him a lot. And Leeds, they play good football, but they've not been picking up the points this season. Their defence is a bit shaky, so I think Dominic Calvert-Lewin could be the one.
So you're seeing DCL,
Yeah,
not a bad shout at all. Pellers, where are you looking for your captain?
I've got to say, I think that was a great shout about DCL. I think I brought him into my team. I think I probably will captain, but I'm going to go for the Egyptian King. I'm going to hope that he's back against Brighton. I know that's still to be confirmed, but I think he's going to be rested. He wants to prove a point. Every single game, he looks like still one of the best players in the Premier League. And I think Mo Salah for Pellers. Captain Russ, where do you think the points are from a captain perspective?
I think, as I said before, I think Vardy, I think he's got a point to prove, especially against a weak Fulham at the moment. I think that's where my money will be.
Superb. And Sean, a John McGinn fanboy?
I'm going to go with Manny.
Go Mane.
Mane with your mouth.
Interesting.
I think he's due a big week. That's why I put him in my team. Still waiting for it. I think against Brighton.
There you go. So Sean and John McGinn fanboy thinks it's about time Mane did something. I've been waiting for Branthwaite, mate, to deliver. I've had him in my team for a while. But I think he's a slow one. Slow and steady, Branthwaite. He hasn't played yet. Solid no games. Brilliant. But guys, I think there's a lot of captains you could go for out there. I think Kevin De Bruyne myself this week. Man City versus Burnley. De Bruyne needs to start doing it. And I think he's a viable shout. I put him out there just because I think it's about time, like you say with Mane, Sean. I feel like it's about time that De Bruyne does something, and this could be his time. But what Captain said about Vardy, I can't see past Vardy as well. So I probably won't go De Bruyne myself. I just see Vardy. I just see him getting 3 or 4 against Fulham. Anyhow, that is where I would go. So guys, thank you for all of the insights on captains. Listeners, we've come to the end of the show, unfortunately. You're going to be as disappointed as me. You can catch up with us, though, on Twitter. Please do follow us, LeftBackFPL, at LeftBackFPL. We're on Reddit, at LeftBackFPL. You can drop us an email, leftinthechanging@gmail.com, or you can visit the website, leftbackfpl.com. Unfortunately, there's not as much content on there as there used to be with James Reese's Pieces departure. But guys, there is a position open. If you are interested in writing for our blog, please do get in touch and join our league if you haven't. I did give you the code at the beginning, so join the league. Listen back.
06S7S8.
There you go. 06 small s 7 small s 8. And we'll be back next week. So, lads, it's been a blinder. Thanks very much for all of your great insights, and I'll speak to you all next week.
Hey!